Light it.
We welcome you back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob, Mark Urban. We're now joined by the head coach of Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman. Coach, before we even get going, you got to tell us and our viewers about the background that's behind you right now. This is so cool.
Yeah, these are the old stadium bleachers from Notre Dame Stadium before they redid it. They took all the bleachers and really they put it around campus in different offices. So these are the authentic, the original stadium.
That's real
bleachers.
wood. That's real wood. That's not a tapestry.
Right.
That's not a poster. Yeah.
No,
History.
that's real.
Legendary.
Oh, man. The things those planks of wood have seen in South Bend. Amazing. Well, thanks for joining us this week, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks
Appreciate
for having
it,
me.
Coach.
Hey, Marcus, so good to see you. One of my favorite people, and I love our dialogue throughout the year. I talked to you after you had a tough loss early in the year, and I always try to watch your press conference because when I was a young coach, people helped me, and so I reached out to you. And one of the great comebacks in college football season, college football this year, you guys been on a great run. What was the message after the getting hit in the face like that early in the year, and then you brought him back, your team came back? What was the message?
Yeah, I think you go through your natural emotions as a leader, right? The first thing I wanted them to know, I remember saying in the locker room is, I've been here before, right? Not everybody in that locker room has been there before. I've been here before. I've had some tough loss. We lost to Marshall my first year, but understand it's going to be a long week, but we got to stay together. That's why I said stay together. There's going to be a lot of noise outside of here, stay together. And from that Saturday night to Sunday, I really took a deep dive and a self-evaluation as the leader of this program and said there's a bigger lesson to learn. Like, there was some mistakes in the way we played. We weren't as good as we thought we were at that moment. But I thought the thing for this group and for me as a leader was this was the first time that we've won the big game to start the season since I've been the head coach. The first 2 years we lost to Ohio State. This year we beat Texas A&M, and I said, that's it. Like, we weren't ready to handle success. I wasn't ready as the head coach to handle success. And I said, this will be the greatest thing that happens to this football program if we utilize the lessons that this game has taught us, but then we got to keep the pain. We can't forget the lessons this loss to Northern Illinois has taught us. And so our guys bounced back and we started to continue to improve as a football program, but I always reminded them we got to keep the pain. We got to keep the pain and remember the lessons we've learned from that loss in Northern Illinois.
So you talked about this game being emotional and how that loss affected you guys. You just had a great win against a rival, USC. The cameras kind of caught you being excited, a little emotional. We all know how these wins are. What did that win mean to you in this program?
Well, I think first of all, it was a rivalry win. And I tried to really paint the narrative, make sure our guys understood. We know what the win at USC would do for our future, but I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to focus on this rivalry that we had with USC and the opportunity to go out there and play in a rivalry game and to win this rivalry game. And, I think in that moment when the game, the time ticked off the clock, it was one of relief and joy that we got it done.
Right.
But now, hey, let's enjoy this victory. But now we can allow our minds to think into the future. And it was a special moment, man, with a special group of guys that have done a tremendous job.
Coach, it's really interesting because you just said you're going to allow the guys to think about the future, but it was thinking about the future after that week 1 win over Texas A&M, which got you guys in trouble, right? Yeah. And then you reeled off, 10 consecutive wins. So how do you look forward while also maintaining that focus that you've instilled since that loss to Northern Illinois?
Yeah, we had a team meeting yesterday, and I said, take this week and use it as a bye week, right? This is our bye. We don't have a first-round bye. This is our bye week. Right. And really decompress. I said reload, reset, recover, and let your mind go wherever you want. Like, take the stress off of having an opponent off your mind and off your plate. And so when we find out who our opponent is on Sunday, the first thing I'm going to do is narrow our focus back to what's important, right? And that's the present. But I wanted this week to just be one where they could focus on academics. They can really have a unstressful week, and really just kind of reset as we get back together on Sunday.
Marcus, last year you got Sam Hartman, Riley Leonard this year, the transfer quarterbacks. You got CJ Carr, Lloyd's grandson, coming up. Ideally, do you want to, try to keep a young guy and develop them, or do you see that continuing, or do you want to kind of get away from the transfer stuff?
Yeah, my vision is I want to major in high school recruiting. That's what this program is going to be built off of. And, I made a decision after my first season, the next 2 years, I said we needed a transfer portal quarterback. But I have a strong conviction that the future of our football program is in-house. And I believe in the guys we have here and those guys being able to lead this football program. And that's what I want to continue to do is recruit at a high level and have our starting quarterback be a guy that we got from high school that understands what this football program is all about.
Hey, Coach, in saying that, I know we just talked about it. You said that you have a bye week coming up essentially because of no conference championship. Like in the current college format, there is no bye week for you guys because it's only for the fourth conference champion. So does that change your mind at all about being independent, or does the independent actually build you in a bye week before the college football even starts? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's the way we got to approach this thing. We have to look at it as this is an advantage for us. We don't play in a conference championship game. This is our bye week, and this is the week we get to use to recover physically and mentally, to put ourselves at a place where it needs to be to go into this playoff and make a run. As far as joining a conference, there's some higher ups that make those decisions. Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't make that decision?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Everybody thought you did.
So I'll let those higher ups make that decision. But again, we got to sell us being independent is the most positive thing we have going for us. Our TV deal with NBC, some of the unique games that we play from coast to coast, right? There's all these different conferences. And so we try to sell that's one of the greatest things that is about this program.
But Coach, those higher ups are going to come to you for your opinion on should Notre Dame join a conference. So what would
he's not going to give that, right?
I'm not saying like, hey, let's sign up with the ACC or the Big Ten right now. But I honestly you
Notre
have
Dame
a bye
in the Big
week
Ten
because you can't be a conference champion. And again, this whole year, this 12-team playoff is going to flush out a lot of things, and we know it's going to be things are going to fluctuate and how seeds are really going to be viewed going forward. But if I put a gun to your head, hey man, do you want to be in a conference or not right now? Would you rather be in a conference?
We're good right where we're at.
Yeah.
That's my
Here, I'm going to add something, Marcus, because I coached there, and I think it's a whole different animal now with a 12-team playoff. Rob, when I was there, if you didn't win a national championship,
it's over.
It was hard to keep the players fired up.
Yeah.
You lose a game 3, game 5, game 6, and then all of a sudden, I remember I'd walk in the meeting room, and there's no way to get a ring. There's no way to go play in a conference championship game. I think that it's a whole different animal for Notre Dame now. And Marcus, I apologize interrupting, but you got to swing for the playoffs now every year. So I think
the greatest thing that has happened for us is the 12-team playoff, right? That we understand that it's not one loss and you're out. We knew that after we lost Northern Illinois, every week was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And but with 12 teams now, we have a better opportunity to make the playoffs. And once you get in, here we go. Every week is the Super Bowl. But I think the greatest thing that happened for us was the 12-team playoff.
Hey, let me ask you real quick about this, because I thought about this with Ohio State and Ann Arbor and Penn State and Notre Dame. But that home team, a home game in December, and you hear those two words, lake effect, come rolling across Lake Michigan, man. I'd hear that, and I'd wake up with 5-foot snowdrift in our driveway. Is there any conversation of going playing in a controlled environment like Indy if it's a bad day or a bad week, you can see it coming?
No, we're going to use that to our advantage for sure. We'll practice outside. I'll tell you that right now, Coach. We're going to be practicing outside. I'm assuming we're going to have a home game, and we're going to make sure we're ready for this environment. That's got to be an advantage for us, right?
You're right.
Sure let's get as much snow and as cold temperatures as we can find.
You mentioned you assume you have a home game. So if you're talking to the committee right now, what would you tell them to say, yeah, we're absolutely deserving of being seated that high to have a home game in the first round?
Rob, I don't like to spend a lot of time.
I
You
know,
know,
but a lot of your brethren are doing it right now,
yeah,
right?
They
to each
ranked
their
4 right now, Stone.
well, to each their own. Listen, where we're at is where we're at.
Yeah.
And if we don't have a home playoff game, we don't. We'll adapt and we'll adjust. But I got a strong conviction that the rankings will take care of itself and we'll have a home playoff game.
Coach,
It's easy
man.
to do that when you're sitting inside the top 5, right? It's
Yeah,
easy to
sitting at
kinda
number
sit
4.
back and let
They should be
everybody
having a
else
bye, basically.
steer things for the conversation. You're not Lane Kiffin down there at Ole Miss and South Carolina and whatnot, having to do the politicking. Do you like that in college football? Are you all right with coaches and ADs, speaking up, a week and change out of the final playoffs, fighting for their spots in there?
Absolutely. If the coach and the ADs don't have a strong conviction for their program and they're being deserved to be in the playoffs, then why should anybody else? And so, yeah, I have no problem with that. I think that's great for college football. But at the end of the day, what matters most is what you do on the field. And that's what I like to spend my time thinking about.
Coach, man, I'm a running back, and I love how you use your running backs up there in Notre Dame, man. Estimate last year, even going back further years. But Jeremiah Love, he's just been amazing this year. I think he's one of the best backs in the country, full, complete back. What you are showing that the running back does have value. So what does the running back position mean to you and your offense? But more importantly, what has Jeremiah Love meant to this team this year?
Yeah, he's a special football player. And we try to find as many ways to put the ball in his hands and let him go and make plays. But, I think Jeremiah will be the first one to tell you he's not going to have success without those big dudes up front.
Facts.
And our guys up front have been blocking their tails off, man. They've been doing a heck of a job of reestablishing a new line of scrimmage.
Mhm.
They've been playing as one, which any great offensive line has to do. And what that does is when you have success in the run game, and it truly gives you an opportunity to have success in the pass game. If you
Yes.
want to put your guy in the box, good. Now we have one-on-one coverage and we got to go make plays. But that's always been what I believed in my heart as a player, but now even as a coach. Like, you have to be able to run the football and not be a one-dimensional offense. And that's going to create a lot of openings in the pass game.
Hey, Marcus, last week, obviously, tough day in Columbus, and you played with Laurinaitis, Carpenter, Hawk, and Schlegel. I mean, all cartoon characters, right? I love those guys. But after the game, I stood there, and I really couldn't believe what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
With I saw, the amazing blue flag being planted at midfield, and that, because I grew up in the great state, as, Wolverine would grow up in the state of Michigan. You see that happen. Any thoughts? And first of all, as a former player that played there, and then the reaction by Ohio State, and does something have to happen in college football to stop that?
Yeah, I don't think obviously that's a great look for college football. You don't want to see these young individuals that you care about that are going to take over our country, man, that we're on a football field fighting and pepper spray and those type of things. That's not a great look for young people or the game of college football. Again, I only speak for our program here, and my message to our team is to make sure we're celebrating together. Like, there's nothing more important than us celebrate together. It's not to celebrate on somebody else's field, or I'm not okay with going to plant a flag in somebody's field. Like, you guys have all worked your tails off to achieve success. Let's celebrate together. Let's get in that locker room where we celebrate team glory. There's no better feeling than that. There's nothing greater than the moments after a game when you can celebrate in that locker room with everybody that put everything they had into accomplishing that victory. And so that's my message to our program is, we have big wins. Let's go in that locker room and we celebrate together. And that's what's important.
Coach, you're undefeated in that game, Ohio State, Michigan. What is your greatest memory of that undefeated in that, what most people say is the greatest rivalry? What is your best memory of being undefeated in that rivalry?
I think back to 2006. It was number 1 versus number 2. Troy Smith was our quarterback. We were the number 1 team in the country. They were number 2. It was one of the few 3:30 games that Ohio State and Michigan played against each other. And I remember it kind of led into a nighttime, and it was a hard-fought victory. I think it was 42-39 victory. But that was special. It was an undefeated season before we had to play Coach Meyer and those Florida Gators national championship game. So I like to end that season right there, right? The victory 1 versus 2. I don't like to think about what happened after.
Coach, let's end this conversation talking about Notre Dame. And I like to use my resources. So I went out to my people. I got a Notre Dame grad with a question. This is from John Perugini, class of 1991. He would like to know if the parade route has been planned already. I'm kidding. That was an actual question. He's a buddy of mine. I was like, I'm going to say it to Coach, but I'm not even going to let him.
I was going to say, Rob, I was ready to push end meeting.
All right, so here's his question. Oh God, I love the parade route. It made me laugh out. All right, he goes, I'd also love to know how to avoid a letdown in the first playoff game. We kind of touched on this. I'm going to tweak it in a second. He goes, I know that sounds crazy, but they were completely laser focused for 12 weeks on making the playoff, which seemed like a long shot right after the NIU. So after gripping that wheel for 12 weeks, I'm sure there was that huge exhale Saturday night, as you mentioned. And then you talked about, Coach, keeping the pain, okay? How do you keep the pain going into the playoffs?
Well, I think there was something said in that statement that's wrong. We weren't laser focused for 12 weeks on making the playoffs. We were laser focused for 12 opportunities to win that game. And that's our mindset, is to prepare to win a game each week, right? Each week we're ultimately focused on what we have to do to win this game, and that's something I believe in, to stay in the moment, right? We don't, to stay in the moment, like the future's uncertain. The future's uncertain. Why waste time daydreaming about an uncertain future? So just like as we'll get our opponent named on Sunday, we'll be laser focused on preparing to win that game. I don't care what happens after that. Let's prepare to win this game, because that's the only thing that matters. And so keeping the pain is something that our players will often hear me say. What does that mean? It just means that I think you learn the most about yourself as an individual and us as a program in your lowest moments. Winning's great. It makes you feel good. But you really learn a lot of valuable moments and a lot of lessons when you lose. Now, you lose too much, you won't have a job. All right, I understand that. So that's why I say keep the pain, keep those lessons that you learned about yourself, about your program when you're at those lowest moments and what it takes to have success. And we got to make sure we understand how important that is.
And Coach, if it gets to that point, I know you can text and call Urban about the parade route thoughts, where to start, where to end, how long it should be. Do you do one in Chicago as well, or just keep
Marcus,
it in
you stay focused. I'll handle all.
Yeah.
I'm here to keep things softly off the rails and then back on. Marcus Freeman, congratulations on a wonderful season. Enjoy that bye week. Enjoy the bye week and enjoy what we all think will be a home playoff game. Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate you, Coach. Good luck, man.
We
rooting for you.
Appreciate you.
Unless you play Bama.
Light it.